Hello, welcome back to Lex Reads. We are doing another reading vlog. I am knocking these reading vlogs out. The book that I'm reading is All the Lonely People by Gayle. Now this is on my TBR. I have, this month, this month it's July, but probably when you see this reading vlog, it'll be August. But I think I finished about 4 books so far. I literally just finished a book last night, Uncle Top's Children by Richard Wright, when I did my 30-minute walk on the treadmill at the gym. I literally took my book and I'm like, I'm finishing this because I want to start something else. And then I needed to start something else because that book, it didn't take me, I'm not in a reading slump, but I needed something a little bit more, just a little bit more. I can't even describe, because if y'all read Richard Wright, y'all know he unbelievably deep, okay? And injustice with blacks and black men, it can be a lot. But this book, look, not that it's lighthearted, but it's way lighthearted than a Richard Wright book. But this book is about a man named Hubert. He is living in England. He's Jamaican. And he creates this fictional life to his daughter. His daughter calls him every night. I believe she lives in Australia, and he literally has a notebook on the side of his chair, his sitting chair, to remember all the notes and all the people that he tells his daughter about. I believe he is a widower, and I mean, it's in the title, All the Lonely People. He does not have anybody, okay? Look, he don't talk to nobody. And we just got introduced to his neighbor Ashley, and she has a little girl. And she like knocks on the door and it's like, hi, my name's Ashley, and I'm your new neighbor. I was telling, my daughter's a little girl, that we got to get out here, and know some people, right? I believe his daughter is going to come to town, and he has to figure out these people that he has made up, basically. Get a backstory of how he came to England, and like I said, he's from Jamaica, so you're going to get his perspective when he was like a young man, and I believe before he got married, and then probably, after how he met his wife, then had a child and all that. So I love stories like that, because right now we're in the present time, and then it's going to go back, and then it's going to go to like the past. So you're going to have past and present. Love stories like that. But yeah, I am so excited to read this. You guys know I said in my TBR video, and also just my TBR videos in general, how I always want to incorporate a male author. And this year I've read a lot for me. Just got done reading Richard Wright. I read, what's my boy's name that did Perfect Peace? Daniel Black. I will be reading starting August 1st, Ralph Ellison. That's all I can think of right now, but that's a lot for me, because y'all know I read Black women authors. I think because I am a woman, I tend to gravitate towards them more. And then also too, since women authors, Black women authors, are so unappreciated, I always want to put them at the forefront. And then of course, when they're Black women authors that no one really talks about, they're not who Toni or Alice or Maya, even though those are great, but we got so many. That's, I always tend to, go to those books, because I always say those are the, hidden gems. But yeah, I am excited to put more male authors, in my reading. And also too, with Mike, he has been writing for over 20 years. And I think I was looking at it, watching an interview. I believe he has 17 books, which is like, my goodness. First of all, if you look at him, he looks so young. When she said, the interviewer, they were talking about this book, and they're like, oh yeah, Mike's been writing for 20 years. I'm like, Mike looked like he's 20, okay? I'll put that interview down below. It's talking about the book. There's no spoilers, because I like to, when I'm reading a book, while I'm reading the book and after I'm done reading the book, I like to watch interviews of the author talking about the book, reading the book. And usually with those interviews, they don't do spoilers. It's basically like like a book tour or whatever. And I believe this book came out during the pandemic. Yeah, this book came out in 2020. So he was doing all his interviews on Zoom. But yeah, like I said, I'll link that down below. And then I love this passage right here. The loneliest moment in someone's life is when they are watching their whole world fall apart and all they can do is stare blankly. F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Great Gatsby. I just read this month a Great Gatsby short story, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Fantastic. And you guys know how much I love Great Gatsby. I've read that twice. Um, so when he quotes that, I'm like, oh my goodness, because F. Scott Fitzgerald, he could write. So yeah, but I'm excited to read this. Oh, it matches my outfit. So you already know what I'm about to say. It's morning time. I have to get ready to go to work. Hopefully I can sneak in some pages at work if I do have some time. So let's get ready to go. Oh. She was a friend of mine. I am adoring this book. Girl, them 30-minute walks is working, all right? Okay, so let's talk about this. Not my wannabe shape. I'm on page 110, and y'all, this is so good because obviously I've seen you guys the premise how, you know, Hubert lies about, you know, him having like this whole like enjoyable life to his daughter, but the backstories, like his, you know, his past of how he met his wife Joyce and everything is just amazing. So it's the past time, it's like the 1950s, I believe, like 1958 to be exact. And he literally just came from, you know, Jamaica to England, and obviously it's the 50s, so you already know it's racist, right? He's like basically like the only like black, you know, male there, and they do little petty stuff. They put like salt in his coffee, they like vandalize his locker, just little childish stuff or whatever. And he, one point, he can't take it, and he like punched the guy out, this guy named Vince. And instead of them firing him, they actually fire Vince. They actually fire Vince, and Vince basically like get them together, because actually a group of guys are getting them together. But Joyce, which is his soon-to-be wife, like dresses his wounds and stuff like that. But the kicker is with Joyce is a white woman, and again in the 1950s, and they start going together, and she gets pregnant. You know, she's like, what are we gonna do? Like, I'm pregnant, you know, and they've been sneaking around because they can't just be seen like that or whatever, because again, it's the 50s. But this part, oh my goodness, it got me. Okay, so the day, like, he tells his friend Gus, like, you know, she's knocked up or whatever, like, what am I gonna do? So, like, you know, they drink or whatever, and he kind of tipsy, but he's walking home, and he says, as he turned into his street, singing loudly enough to wake the neighbors, he saw Joyce. She was standing outside his lodging, a suitcase at her feet. I told my parents. Shockingly, Huber walked towards her and took her hand. My mom guessed, and so I told them about the baby and about you. My dad was so angry he packed my bags and threw me out. I've got nowhere to go. That's not true. You got me. Letting go of her hand, Hubert reached into his pocket, took out a small velvet box, and then unsteadily got down on his knee. Me been carrying this round for weeks, waiting for the right moment, but me wanted to do things properly, to ask your father for your hand first, but it wasn't to be. He took the ring he had bought back in June that cost every last bit of his savings, and slapped it on her finger. Joyce Ann Pierce, will you do me the honor of being my wife? And not because of the baby, and not because you have nowhere else to go, but because me don't want to waste another single moment without you. Oh, that's so sweet. I love him. He's such a gentle man. And she's thinking, well, I have one sister, Peggy, that might come around, you know. But all the other family, they're like, we're not dealing with it. So he doesn't tell Joyce, but he goes to Peggy the day of their wedding. And girl, They've already been betrayed by one daughter. It would kill them to have it happen a second time. So you're just going to wash your hands of Joyce, your own flesh and blood, just because me got a different skin color to you? Me made of flesh and blood just like you. I don't make the rules. No, you don't, Herbert said, but you go along with them just fine, which in my eyes makes you just as bad. Blinking back the hurt and anger that threatened to overwhelm him, Huber left Peggy's house, returning to the station, jumping on the first train to central London. Then I love this scene right here. Halfway through the song, Joyce lifted her head and smiled. It has been such a wonderful day, hasn't it? Huber kissed her gently on the forehead. Me just wish you would have had your family here with you. Joyce tilted her gaze to the small bump just visible under her dress and patted it fondly. It doesn't matter anymore. She paused a moment. Then her eyes met Huber's. You're my family now. That's so cute. Because, clearly she's, pregnant or whatever. I love Joyce too. I really love his dialogue. It's something about that. You guys know how much I always talk about dialogue, because that just, to me, that like makes or breaks a story sometimes. I love a good, I love a book with great dialogue. That's a kicker for me. But I am loving the past, passages, and the way the book goes, it's like, it jumps. So you have past and present, past and present. And also too, how you have some books where when it jumps like that and you wish like it'll stay in like, one time or whatever, because it just doesn't sometimes flow well. He knows it flows well. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh my goodness, Herbert go back to the past or Herbert go back to the present. No, he knows he navigates it very well. I'm still just so in shock that he has so many books and no one really knows him, and he's been writing for years. Like his first book came out in 1997, and he's such a handsome man. Y'all, look at this man. He is such a handsome man. He looks so young. I'm like, my goodness. Oh, he has a sociology degree. Okay, like me. Yeah, but y'all, I'm not even done with this book. I mean, got a long way to go, okay? Because it's like 300 and something pages, and this is good. I've said it so many times, it doesn't take a lot to impress me, and this book is good. I would recommend this book, and I'm not even done with it. I would honestly recommend this book. I ended up getting this book because I remember last year I wanted to read more Caribbean lit, and in June, that's I think Caribbean Lit Month, and y'all know I like to pick up books and no one knows. So I was just going through, and I also think this is on the clearance section, and the cover intrigued me because the cover is exactly what the book is about. That is that's the phone where he talks to his daughter. That's the notebook where he keeps all of his stories so he won't, so he can keep his lies straight. That's the little cat that he has, a black and white cat. And then this is him, and he's like in his 80s. When I saw a black man on the cover, I said, I'm thinking that is a black author. When I read the synopsis, I said, you know what, I'm getting this. Because I think it probably was only like $10 or even cheaper than that. For me, I know when I do shop for books, obviously, I do judge a book by its cover. Sometimes I honestly do. If I see like a black person on the cover, I just assume that is written by a black author, which sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But a lot of times if you do look into it, if you do go in a bookstore and see, us on the cover, it usually is written by us. So that's sometimes how I gauge if it's a black writer or not. I've gotten to the point, sometimes I look at it, I'm like, okay, it's not black. Well, I know it sounds bad, y'all. Look, it sounds like I'm being some type of way, but y'all know I gravitate towards us. Okay, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm not going to apologize for that. Yeah. Again, let me get ready to go to work. It's Friday. That's why I got jeans on. Y'all, we made it to the week. All right. I just got a package from Penguin Random House. Girl, I wish I could. They had sent me, what do you call it? My little black spines I always be buying. I mean, I'm grateful that they sent me anything, but so. This, I believe, is a YA book. This is such a pretty cover. Yeah, I remember wanting this. Jennifer Baker, Forgive Me Not. Isn't that such a pretty cover? How far would you go for forgiveness? Okay, let's see. When has a blurb by Renee Watson. I really like her. So it says, all it takes is one night and one bad decision for 15-year-old Valletta Chin Samuel's life to change forever. After driving drunk and causing the accident that killed her little sister, oh Lord, Valletta is incarcerated. Under the juvenile justice system in this near future world, her fate lies in the hands of those she wronged, her family. With their forgiveness, she could go home, start again. It's Valletta's big brother, Vince, who delivers the crushing news. Her family does not forgive her, leaving Valletta to make a hard decision: remain in a juvenile detention center for an uncertain time or face the trials. For the chance to regain her freedom and what she wants most of all, her family's love, Valletta agrees to participate in the trials. As Valletta and Vince's parents realize they have not one but two children in trouble, this family must decide what it means to forgive not only one another but themselves. Lord, this is gonna be deep. Whew. Girl, they got two kids that, I think, you know what, this is not out yet. I think this comes out in August. But yeah, it's called Forgive Me Not. Jennifer Barker, and this is the author. These YA covers are the off the chain. She's 15, drinking and driving, and killed her little sister. You know what that reminds me of? I had a client when I used to work in home health aid. She was in her 20s, 25, 20. Well, I know she was in her 20s. She was drinking and driving, and it was her, I think like 3 other people or whatever in the car, and everyone died except her. But she became a paraplegic, and she can't talk, she can't walk, she has a feeding tube. I mean, she's just like a vegetable, they would say. And if they would take like the medication and the feeding tubes and all of that away, she probably would be on hospice and die. But the fact that she was drinking and driving, and everybody, you know, died except her. And she has a twin brother. Never seen a twin brother. Don't come around. I never heard about the daddy. The mom comes around during holidays, but she'll come like not on Christmas, but like 3 or 4 days later. Sometimes on the girl's birthday. But the fact that she has a twin brother, and I worked with her, oh Lord, a while. I know over a year, over 2 years. Never saw him. And I did night shift, so I would never see the mom. And I remember when she would have to go to the hospital, wouldn't see any family or anything like that. So, but that reminds me of that drinking and driving. I'm like, you know, I thought about my previous client. And it was so weird to see like pictures and stuff, and to know that she was normal, and to see that she can't talk or anything like that. And she was like an aggressive paraplegic, meaning like, you know, they can't walk or anything like that or move, but she could, one side was not paralyzed, and she would move and fling that arm and that leg, and she would bite herself. Girl, it was much. You know, but yeah, I've had a lot of clients. That was when I had graduated from college, and I was looking for work, and I said, well, you know what, let me just get something really quickly to just have some money in my pocket, but end up really enjoying it. But girl, I've done paraplegic. I've done hospice care, cancer patients. I've done, only thing I haven't done, I haven't done any children. Um, yeah, I've done nursing homes. I've done group homes, facilities, everything. But yeah, when I thought about that drink, but yeah, when I thought about the drinking and driving, I mainly thought about my previous client. But this is gonna be kind of tough. I might put this on my TBR. Already got 3 YAs on there. All right. Yeah. I'm like thinking out loud. Okay, so I'm at the used bookstore. I just got my eyebrows done, but they had J. California Cooper. Oh, I forgot the book it's called, but they, well, hopefully they still have it, because you guys know I'm in the process of getting all of her books, because I'm doing her whole fictional catalog for next year. So yeah, I want, hopefully they have it in there. Fingers crossed they still have it in there. And I might look at some records, but I really just need to get that book and then leave. But yeah, girl. I think I have this one. So guys, I finished the book at like what, 2 in the morning, somewhere around that. And this was so good. This was a solid 4 stars. It's not what you expected. I'm going to say that. He put a twist and turn on there where it was shocking. It honestly was. And while I was reading it, I said, wait, what? And I had to read the passage again, and was outdone. Okay. But the way he tells the story is it's so great. Oh my goodness, you guys, it's so great. This was such a, what kind of read was this? It was entertaining. It was realistic. It was sad. It was eye-opening. The topic of interracial dating and interracial marriage and interracial relationships in general in the 50s and 60s in London. First of all, there's no difference than it is in America during the 50s and 60s and beyond or whatever. Hubert, he is Jamaican, and you coming from a place where you don't have to worry about race because everyone that is around you looks like you. When he, first came to the UK, how he was so shocked, but also amazed. He would be walking, the streets, and people, like the people next to him, are across, the way, they would go the opposite direction, or they would hold their bags, or they would gasp, just things like that. He wasn't used to that. Mrs. Travis took a step forward and started to rearrange her expression into something resembling a smile, but then Rose wiggled the blanket far away from her head, and the woman recoiled, her face twisted in disgust. You didn't say nothing about having one of them. Having one of what exactly? One of them black babies, she spat. I don't have none of that in my place. Go on, get out of here before I get my husband on you. Joy stood her ground. You make me sick, and I wouldn't have I wouldn't have left my child here if you paid me. Well, you make me sick, said Mrs. Travis. Having a baby with one of those darkies. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. It was only after the fact that Joyce realized she had raised her hand and struck the woman. It was only the cry the other woman let out as they stood looking at one another then brought her to her senses. Their love was so strong, they didn't even care. And I love the fact that he focused on that a little bit, but that wasn't the main story, because over time it was kind of like, it is what it is. And they were able to just live their life, normally. And their thing is, people are going to be ignorant, that has nothing to do with me. But they did have a struggle in the beginning, and obviously gradually it got less and less and less. But yeah, like I said, this was a twist and turn that you wouldn't expect, and fantastic. I love his neighbor Ashley. She was so jolly and charismatic, and so optimistic. And I also loved his friend growing up, Gus. I mean, yeah, the secondary characters were just as good as, you know, the main characters like Joyce and you know, Hubert. But yeah, please get into this. Please get into this. This was, like I said, this was a 4-star read. I loved it. I wanted to show you guys the books that I got yesterday when I went to the bookstore. So I did get the, I was gonna say Joyce Carol Oates. J. California Cooper, Some Soul to Keep. So yeah, I did not have this, and I believe this is a collection of short stories. Yeah. And this came out when 1987. Yeah, these are a collection of short stories. And then I also went into the Black Studies section, which I'm gonna have to go in there again and look at it, because that was the first time. I didn't know they had a Black Studies section. But I got this, Shadows and Act by Ralph Ellison. You guys know that I am going to be reading his book literally on Tuesday, on the 1st. I schedule my books, so I knew that I wanted to read his book in August. And I have been rewatching a documentary that I love about him on YouTube. But I wanted to get this because this is a collection of essays. This came out a decade after Invisible Man, and it's essays and interviews and things like that. He has, I was reading a little bit yesterday, but I had to put it down because I haven't read Invisible Man, and there's an interview called The Art of Fiction, and he's like talking about some of the just talking about the book or whatever. And I don't, you know, I've never read that book, so I said after I read Invisible Man, I do want to just get into this and kind of excuse me, tab it and things like that. But I was really excited when I saw this. I like snatched it up, so I did good. I just got 2 books, didn't get any records. I didn't need any records. But yeah, that was, yeah. Oh, I know, I wanted to look up from this book the Windbush generation. Am I saying that way right? Wait. Who are the Windrush, not Windbush, Lord. Windrush generation. British Scandal. Okay, wait. These people who become known as the Windrush generation were invited to Britain to lay roads, drive buses, clean hospitals, and nurse the sick, helping to rebuild the country after the devastation of World War II. Okay, let's see. Oh, they're saying that some of them migrants arrived in Britain illegally. I want to look more into this because I have heard about that time in history just a little bit, but I know he did talk about that just a little bit. Let me put a sticky note so I can remember. I have to write everything down. I forget everything now, girl. The Windrush generation. But I have to be in the mood to like look up things like that. I'm not in the mood to sit here and do that because I want to, you know, obviously get my 30-minute walk in. It's Sunday, so I have to do my 30-minute walk plus my weight training. But I just want to tell you guys I did finish it, and also please get it. It's really good, really, really good. So yeah, guys, that's all I have for you when it comes to this reading vlog. And yeah, I'll be back with more Black books. Bye.